Hey everybody, welcome to another Yammy Noob video. Today I'm going to talk about how you can practice on your motorcycle. I think online we often try to tell beginner riders and intermediate riders what they should be doing. We say, oh, you got to go out and trail brake, man. Oh, you got to lean off your bike. Oh, you got to get your frickin' body position all frickin' right, man. Because if you don't do that, then you're a nerd and you're a doofus and you don't know how to ride. But I don't think we're telling people how they should be practicing, and I think that's just as important, if not more important, than what you're practicing. So I'm going to kind of give you guys 3 levels that you can think about when it comes to how you can meaningfully get better on your bike. There's plenty of tips and tricks online, and just common age-old wisdom of how to ride a motorcycle. I'm not going to cover that in today's video. Instead, I'm going to give you a framework on how you should approach your practicing. Let's start off with the easiest one, and the one that most people try to get you to do, and it's slow speed and parking lot practice. Now, this can often be the most boring, the most overlooked, and the silliest one to do. But I want to flip it on its head for you a little bit. Instead of you going out to the parking lot and saying, okay, it's time for me to set up my cones and do figure eights and blah, 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 I'd like for you to go to a parking lot or a warehouse area or wherever where you got a nice wide open space all to yourself, and just think about it as time that you and your bike get to bond. You get to be familiar with it, because feeling what your bike can do in slow speeds, whether it's, you know, counter leaning off the motorcycle, dipping it down further than you thought, or maybe even popping a couple wheelies and just seeing how much you can brake. I'd like for you to treat it as an opportunity to where you can just play with your motorcycle a little bit, because I think entering that mindset of play with your bike in a slow speed controlled environment, that's very important. And I'm going to talk about the next levels, because that's where you can do that without going to a racetrack. The only place I think you can do this in public safely and in like reasonable speeds is in a nice little parking lot or a warehouse area, where truthfully you can kind of treat it like a stunt session almost, right? See if you can slide your rear tires. See if you can, you know, just kind of dip and play around with your bike. Because, you know, for me, in the times that I've done that, in the times that I go out and I just kind of like skid my bike around and pop little wheelies, I used to do that before I'd go and ride a trail or in some enduro. I did that a lot with my Honda Grom, doing little wheelies and just dicking around with the bike and just seeing how it feels. Those skills often come back when I'm riding, you know, on the big roads or on track. That feeling of losing traction and doing stuff, you know, just slightly seeing that limit of danger, it always comes back to you and ingrains you in muscle memory of what the bike actually feels like under a loss of traction or in those situations. So I'd say, you know, that's how you can go about riding slow speeds and parking lot practice. There's so many different things you can do with your bike in slow speeds. And yeah, you can think of some of them as like almost like circus tricks, you know. You can learn how to like ride with one foot, or just like, you know, whip the bike around, go back and forth or whatever. There's lots of little things you can do in those slow speed situations that just start to get you more familiar with the bike, because that's going to be really important. Now, that's slow speed stuff, parking lot maneuvers, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be some, you know, dorky thing where you take your cones and you just lay them out and you practice them. You can be the cool guy, man. Just show up at the, you know, Costco parking lot at midnight and do some wheelies, baby. Why not? You're a degenerate. You could do it. That's level 1. That's playing it safe, using the parking lot, right? Level 2, I would say, is this. It's on-road, right? And on-road is tricky because practicing on-road implies a level of danger, right? And what you have to learn when you practice on-road is you gotta ride at that 5/10 level. And people's 5/10 can look different, you know? My 5/10 level is very much someone's 12 out of 10 who just started riding, right? Because I have a lot of experience. You're gonna wanna practice those fundamentals on road, riding way slower than you think you need to, right? If it means going the speed limit on road like this one right here so that you can properly brake, grab 2 gears down, trail all the way in, look for your exit, and then apply the throttle. If that's what it takes for you to stitch it together, go even slower, go the right speed, because Practicing on road is a really quick way for you to start pushing limits, as people love to say online, and it's just a terrible, terrible recipe. The road just simply is not the place you want to experiment with, oh, how late can I brake into this corner? Or, oh, how much can I pick up the throttle when I exit here? It's just simply not the right place. But it is the right place to build the muscle memory that you can then take to a racetrack or wherever else and really start to learn and apply. Because that's the third level, is taking it to a racetrack. When you go to a track, you get the ability to try stuff, and you're gonna feel what your bike does in much faster conditions. And it's gonna make it so that when you come back on street, all of a sudden, everything feels really slow and easy. Like, when I'm riding on road, it often feels like I'm riding on pit lane on a racetrack, you know? Like, I'm just cruising, like, I'm not going fast at all. Even if I am going a little faster, it's nowhere near what I'm capable of doing on a racetrack. And I know what the bike feels like when I approach those limits. And what's really cool that can happen is, for example, like I took this Honda Hornet out on track and I got to see, you know, what'll it do when you really poke it, right? And it turns out the bike is incredibly capable. So now when I take it back on street, I can play around a little bit with the bike, and I think, oh man, like this bike can do so much more than I'm pushing with it right now. Like, it may look like I'm riding super hard with the bike right now, but I'm not. Like, I'm actually just riding this bike in a fun way that allows me to explore and play with it on road. And because I'm a pretty experienced rider, I can understand that margin and I can play with it. But that's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a long time for you to get really comfortable with riding at that pace on road and still feeling like you're like, oh yeah, I got plenty of room to play with. I'm nowhere near it.
I've heard your cries. You say, Yam, you're just giving away motorcycles all the time. I want to see you give away other stuff too. That's why we've introduced the first ever Discord-only micro giveaways. Every other week, I'm going to be doing tires, jackets, helmets, gloves, anything I can think of that you would want for your ride. Pick a lucky person on Discord, and they're going to win some cool prizes. You have to sign up as a member on my website, yammydo.co, to get access for that. And December 26th is actually the last chance to get entered to win this Honda Hornet 750. Now, if none of that sounds good to you, head over to the website, pick up a hat, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Every dollar you spend will be an entry to win. We got a bunch of great new designs that I'd love for you to go and check out. Head over to my website, yammydo.co. Now let's get back to the show.
And what can happen is, as you build up that slow speed confidence, you know, you start learning how to pop a few wheelies, you start learning how to slide the bike, you can do figure eights, you can whip the bike around slow speeds. You then go to the racetrack and you understand, you know, oh man, when I bury the brakes into the turn, like I feel the front end squish and the rear dance around, like, yeah, that's when I'm really braking. That's when the skills all come together. Like, that to me is when it all comes together, and then you can keep coming back on road, and then all of a sudden you're riding in that unconscious, competent way. You're just able to ride in a way that you can't even explain how you're doing it, and you're just riding in this nice, beautiful way, flowing with the bike, and everything just comes to you so naturally, you know? Everything just feels perfect and natural, and any obstacles in the road or situations, you just avoid them and you naturally flow with them because you keep doing slow speed maneuvers and high speed maneuvers. Because the holy grail of practicing both in slow speeds and high speeds is so that you give yourself a huge amount of margin on road. Like, I know what this bike does at probably 90% of what it's capable of doing. And so when I'm riding on road, I know that I have plenty of margin to play with, and I know how to operate the motorcycle in a way that keeps me safe. Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Building skill and being able to ride your bike really, really well just keeps you more safe. As you build those skills, as you get better, you can then just ride in that perfect way and not even think about it. And then you'll notice that you're able to do things that you weren't able to do before, and you're doing them unconsciously. You know, like when you're on a constant radius, as you've practiced that and thought about it on track, all of a sudden you enter it and hold neutral throttle, and you're right there, and you're like, oh cool, like I'm literally riding in the correct way for this corner. Or as you come up to that one that we see up here, you see the like, oh, I need to apply a little brakes. Maybe it's gonna tighten up a little bit. Oh yeah, tighten up a little bit, then I'm good. And I just got the gas. I minimized my brake and throttle so that I'm not coasting, so that I'm giving some inputs into the bike. And it all starts to come together, man. It all starts to really come together. And then look, you can come over here, you say, oh, I wanna come over here to this little turnoff here. Oh, it's downhill a little bit, but I'm riding my rear brake, but I look where I wanna go. And then I can ride a perfect little U-turn if I want to. I'm like, oh, maybe I wanna go down there. Maybe I wanna flip around. Maybe if I had ABS turned off, I could slide the rear and show you guys, but I don't. And then, oh, you could mix that with your adventure experience. You say, oh, I gotta back the bike up here in the gravel or whatever. Dude, it all comes together. Like, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is if you instill that practice, not in a dweeby way, dude. I'm not saying you guys gotta go out there with the damn cones and, you know, ride in this, like, embarrassing kind of way. I'm just saying, like, familiarize yourself with your bike. Know that you're like, okay, I'm gonna really step on the brakes here. And then I got way more confidence with it, right? Because I'm like, I wasn't even near how much I could possibly brake with this machine. All of it starts to come together, man. All of it comes together and you build that practice. Then you can find two things, which is really fun. You know, once you have that big, wide margin of ability, you can then take it and say, all right, this upcoming corner, I want to see what happens if I hold the brakes the whole time. What if I just keep holding the brakes? Light, 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 light. Oh, nice. Okay, that happens. And you just start to notice what the bike does and how it does it. And then all of a sudden, you're riding in a beautiful way. And that's what I want for you guys. I want you guys to learn the ability to ride and learn how to practice these maneuvers and to do so safely. Because there is a way to build incremental progress with your motorcycle. Like, not to flex, okay? But I keep getting faster at the track every single year. Every year that passes, my skill set increases and I keep going faster on track and my times keep coming down, right? And that makes me happy. It means that I'm improving. It means that I'm getting better. It means that I can do more things on my motorcycle. And it means that I'm not stagnating in my abilities. Because that's what I see a lot, man. Not to, you know, harp on some riders, but I see the guys that say, oh man, I've been riding for 20 years. I know all there is to know. And then they can't even U-turn in a parking lot. Or you get them on a racetrack and it looks like they've never seen a motorcycle before in their life, right? Like, if you keep practicing the same year of experience 20 times over, that's not impressive, you know? Trying different stuff, riding in a new way, practicing your skills, operating at the margins, baby. That's how you get better. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, my riding over the last several years, on road specifically, I've just got this, like, flow and pace with the bikes that I really, really enjoy. And it's like there's so much muscle memory for me from being on a racetrack that I come on road and everything just comes really naturally, you know? And like, I love trail braking into a corner and then going on the throttle as quick as I can and figuring it out. Like right here, you go down one gear, you're on the brakes, and then opens up right here, carry it outside, go right over there, go back into the corner, outside on the edge. You know, like, you're always doing little stuff like that, you know? And that's just nice. It's nice to have that ability. And then I'll give you guys a bonus 4th level that sits on top of the kind of track days and, you know, racetrack kind of riding. It's two things. I think it's going outside of your comfort zone with cross-discipline training. I've seen people try bicycles, trial riding, trail riding. I've seen people do just something different. Keeps you fresh with motorcycling, you know? That's just a nice add-on, a frosting on top. And the other one, too, is intentionally seeking out good information, right? Like, when I was trying to figure out how to go faster on a racetrack, you know, I would look up, like, who are the fast guys online that are giving real tips and tricks? What are the schools I can go to that'll teach me what I need to know? What are my areas of weakness? And you come up with a plan to attack where it is that you're not operating at your best, and then you can get better at it, right? And then all of a sudden, everything comes together, because then you practice that skill over and over and over again. You know, like, I remember I used to go to track days and just practice the same braking skills over and over again until it was muscle memory. And then now it's like, okay, I know how to do that. I can do that. I can move on to the next thing. And then you just keep moving on and keep getting better. So that's, in my opinion, how you get better with motorcycling. That's how you build the practice. And it can be fun, man. It should be fun. It should never feel like work. Riding a motorcycle unless you're a professional, which if you're watching this video, I highly doubt that you are. If you are, leave me a comment down below if you're a professional motorcycle rider in any capacity. I would never say that I am. I'm a professional video content creator. That's what I am. I'm not a professional motorcycle rider. But that's how you get to that point and approximate that. And then riding becomes more fun because you have way more skill than you need at any given time, and it lets you be more chill. Like, it lets you ride in this way that you're like, yeah, like I can cruise, or I can get after it a little bit. I can amp up the pace or pick down the pace as much as I need, and that's a great place to be. So I hope that gave you guys some ideas today. I hope that instilled in you, you know, kind of like, what can I be doing different? What can I be doing better? Drop me a comment down below if you have anything else you want to add to this idea of how to practice, not necessarily what drills and what to do, but just how you're practicing riding your motorcycle, how you're getting better, and just what you think about it. I'd love to hear from you. All that being said, thanks so much for checking out today's video. I appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.